Good afternoon and welcome to How Foundation's Brain Health Week speaker series. We are so honored and proud to have Laura Eiman with us today. She is a mental toughness weight loss coach, and we're going to talk to her about what she does and how brain health relates to it and how she works with brain health in her practice. Welcome, Laura, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you. First of all, let's start off talking a little bit about what it is that you do. So you're a mental toughness weight loss coach, and what exactly is that? Who do you work with, and what do you do with them? And how does brain health play into all of that?
Well, there are two aspects to my endeavors. One is I travel all over the country speaking on my solution to obesity. We are the fattest nation on the planet now, and I find that frightening. 70% of us are overweight or obese, and the CDC says, Hillary, by 2030, 90% of Americans will be overweight or obese. It is scary. And so I am passionate about sharing with people my solution because people are desperate. And my solution, right, 1 in 3 is dying of cardiovascular disease today, and it's uncalled for. And I have developed a weight loss system that is very unique, and I share that when I am speaking around the country, and my solution really is mental toughness.
What does that mean? What does mental toughness mean?
Well, people automatically think, gee, I have to be strong. I'm not allowed to have emotions. I have to exist in an emotional straitjacket. And that's not what it is at all. Of course, there are many definitions. But for how I employ it, mental toughness is, number one, being accountable and admitting that you are the problem and you are the solution. So we're not playing the blame game anymore. Mental toughness is saying, I'm being accountable for my actions, especially when it comes to something like weight loss and how the heck did I get to be 50 pounds overweight?
Right.
We cease to blame our external environment and people around us, and we acknowledge. So that's mental toughness, number one. And then the second aspect to mental toughness is dwelling in the solution to a problem.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, dwelling in the solution to the problem, not dwelling on the problem itself and playing the blame game. So many of us, consciously or unconsciously, are kind of mentally flabby. I was for decades, and we're constantly staying in
that. So you weren't always the same size that you are now?
No, not at all.
How long have you been the size that you are now, and what were you like before?
Well, I was a sugar addict and a junk food junkie for the first 48 years of my life. And I really shouldn't be alive today because of the way I was eating. I had fatty liver disease.
Wow.
I was pre-diabetic. I was 25 pounds overweight. And I was just candy cakes,
like
anything.
Yep. Snacks, junk food that a lot of us do.
Right, junk food. And it was really killing me. And I should be a statistic now. But I finally hit my bottom and said, I really, really want to change. And I got off the sugar 18 years ago by developing mental toughness.
And how many pounds did you actually lose?
About 25.
25 pounds, wow.
Yep. But most importantly, I kept it off, and I lead a life that's happy, joyous, and free. I am not in some kind of miserable straitjacket, white-knuckling it through cocktail parties. I don't even notice the sugar anymore. People could, at Thanksgiving dinner, everybody's eating apple pie a la mode. I don't even notice it because I have developed my own mental toughness, and I share that with others that I coach.
That is amazing. So you lost 25 pounds 18 years ago, and you've kept it off ever since. And I know when we were talking before, you said something about, we were talking about the relationship to what we think, to what we eat.
Yes.
So what did you say? You said what we feed our mind refers to how we feed our body.
Well, when we talk about weight loss, you go into Barnes & Noble or any bookstore and you'll see 100 weight loss books, and it's all about this diet, this exercise program is what you should do. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's a little bit out of order. In my mental toughness program, it's all about reprogramming what you think. It's called metacognition in the science community. And it's all about, first and foremost, in my opinion and my experience, what you feed your mind, the thoughts you think, which lead to the behaviors you create. And then secondly, it's what we feed our mouths. And then third, it's what we feed our muscles, our exercise program. But so often people will not even think about what they're thinking about, which is what metacognition is.
Okay, so metacognition is thinking about what you're thinking about, like mindfulness or being mindful. Is it
Being
related to
aware
that?
of what you're thinking.
Your thoughts.
We have thoughts all day long and we don't even know it, which I think is quite fascinating. Imagine sitting at a traffic light and you're thinking thoughts and you don't even know what you're thinking about, right? Most of the time.
Right.
You might be having an argument. Your mind is, well, you might be having an argument with a relative that's not even in the same state, or you might be thinking about what you're having for dinner, or how you goofed at that meeting at the office today. You're thinking many, many thoughts, but we're not really aware of what we're thinking. And that's where weight loss and proper health starts. It's in the brain. It starts here with what we think mentally and starting to live with intention. Positive thoughts and positive action steps.
And how did you learn this mental toughness? I know you said something about studying the Navy SEAL methods. Can you speak to that? That's quite interesting and amazing, using Navy SEAL methods to lose weight and help
And
other
become
people
mentally
lose
tough.
weight and become mentally tough.
It was a Sunday afternoon back 18 years ago. I was bored. I went over to my neighbor Dan and Linda's with my box of cookies. And I sat there in the TV room and said, "Hey, Dan, what's on? What are you watching?" He said, "Shh, I'm watching a documentary on the Navy SEALs." Shh. And I said, "Well, I don't really care about the Navy SEALs," but I was bored. So I started in with the second row of Oreos in my box of cookies and kind of started watching this documentary. And Hillary, I became fascinated. I said, "Holy cow, Dan, these guys are amazing." Navy SEALs don't start over again on Mondays. They're 24/7. And so that's part of my protocol and my program now. And as I said, I fell flat on my face a lot, but I did succeed in staying off the sugar and have practiced their mental toughness techniques to this day. I apply it to all areas of my life. They're quite admirable.
That's so interesting. So you really educated yourself to mentally become like a Navy SEAL with your eating, and now you're sharing that with other people to help them develop that.
Correct. And it doesn't mean that we don't get angry or we're not allowed to cry or have our feelings. We feel our feelings for sure, but we don't dwell on them. Remember, I said we dwell on the solution, not on the problems. How many times do we have a problem in life and we dwell on it and dwell on it and dwell on it, and guess what? 6 weeks have gone by and we're still stuck in the problem. So that's what we focus on, is dwelling on the solutions.
Have you seen any direct impacts on the brain health of your clients as a result of your work? Can you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, honestly, all of us want to be healthy, and we also want to be happy, right? And in order for that to happen, we really have to take care of ourselves physically, which is what the great work that you do with the hyperbaric oxygen therapy. You're really helping people heal from PTSD, helping them heal in the brain, which I think is amazing, and I love supporting what you do.
Yes, thank you so much. You've been a great volunteer for us,
Well,
too.
I think
really
what you do,
appreciate
especially
it.
for veterans who have served us, our Navy SEAls
Yes.
who need those chambers.
Yeah, it's so rewarding.
And
Yeah.
so you're really, really serving and helping people to repair those neural pathways that are so fractured by either addiction, heroin use, PTSD. But we also want to be happy. And the happiness really starts with the thoughts we think that dictate our behaviors. Abraham Lincoln said it best: we all choose to be as happy as we want to be.
So do you have some clients you've worked with that maybe they don't even know they were happy, they were just overweight and unhappy about that, and then you help them lose a certain amount of weight? What's the most weight that you've ever helped someone lose?
I have helped people who want to lose 8 pounds, and I helped a
Mm-hmm.
woman a year and a half ago who was losing 80 pounds.
Wow.
It
And
took a
she
long
lost it?
time. She lost it and she kept it off. It took a long
That's
time, but
great.
80 pounds takes a long time to gain
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It takes a long time to gain, and so it's going to take a while to lose. And she's kept that weight off since you work
Because
with
she
her?
practices the 4 steps that I've designed around being mentally tough. It
Mm-hmm.
really starts with living with intention. And to me, Hillary, that is optimum brain health. When you wake up every day and you intentionally decide to live a happy day, and you intentionally decide to take an action step to create a positive day for yourself, you become happier, you lose the weight, you're more successful in everything you do, and that absolutely affects your brain health.
It must be so gratifying to see that change in people that you're working with. Not only do they, look different in a very positive
Yes.
way and they're healthier as a result of the loss of weight, but they're also happier and more productive and they have better relationships. You've seen all of that?
Yes, it really applies to all areas of our life. That's a good point you bring. You can apply living intentionally. You can apply that to your relationships, your marriage, your you want to learn Japanese, you want to get a divorce, you want to change jobs, you want to lose weight. All of that requires intention and positive action steps. It requires really getting your brain to be. I was mentally sloppy, and I did not have strong brain health. I say to people, I had to do mental push-ups every day for months and months and months to become mentally strong. It's not easy work, and a lot of people don't want to do it. But when you do take that commitment and you want to have that Navy SEAL mindset, whether it is to really get a divorce with integrity or switch careers or whatever you want to do, learn Japanese, you can do it but it takes practice and it's a habit that you develop. That to me is positive brain health. And what you're doing with the oxygen therapy for, let's say, veterans of war, their neural pathways are so fried from the PTSD that they don't really have the ability to start practicing positive mental thinking until they get the help that you're providing them. And then they really can get a strong foundation and say, now I'm really ready to start practicing positive thinking.
Right. It's so exciting and it's so gratifying to see that, to see after they have hyperbaric oxygen therapy and they get over their post-traumatic stress or they get, healed from the concussion damage that they've had, to see what they go on and do next. I mean, one that got his commercial pilot's license back, another that started incredible personal training facility and gym, and just so many stories like that. Another one that his marriage improved 100% and they went on to have a baby, and they're so happy, and his life is just so much more productive and just more easy, a regular life like the rest of us.
You've
are
allowed them
blessed
to
have.
become mentally stable so that
Yeah.
they can then develop a new life. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's
It
very
really
exciting
is
and
terrific.
gratifying. And what you do is very helpful too. I mean, so people that are, carrying extra pounds, whether it's 8 extra pounds or, 15 or 20 or 50 or 80 or whatever it is. So it's some kind of, you think that starts with their thinking. They're not thinking the most happy, best thoughts that they could about their life or themselves, and you help them to change their thoughts, or is it educating them on different kinds of foods or exercise or
It really starts with teaching them that they have control over their thoughts and to start living with intention. I've worked with clients who are 10 pounds overweight and they are more miserable than some clients who are 80 pounds overweight. Now, the 80-pound overweight, they're pretty unhappy, but so we can be tormented by many things. But when I introduce the concept of the first thing you do when you get out of bed in the morning, what are you thinking? I'll say to a client, they're starting to think about the day ahead or the argument they had last night. And I say, think about what you're thinking about. Start to live your life with intention. Here's an easy example. I'm going to a cocktail party this weekend. I'm nervous about all the fattening food and all the booze. And I say, well, why don't you go to that cocktail party with having had an intentional thought about what you're going to eat before you go there. What do you mean? Well, you could actually go to the cocktail party and not eat anything there. Oh, I've never heard of that. Well, it's possible. It depends on what you want, but live with intention. Create the idea of what do you want to eat when you go there before you go there. And you're in control of the cocktail party and what you eat there, as opposed to the cocktail party being in control of you. That's a very simple example of being in control of your thoughts and making a decision before you get there.
Right. Yes. It's very interesting. I mean, I'll share a little bit about myself in this respect, because I did gain, 13 pounds in 3 years that I couldn't take off on my own. And I tried really hard, and I exercise, and I feel like I eat properly, correctly. And then, I heard about you and what you do, and I signed up, and I actually was able to take off the 11 of the 13 pounds in 3 months and completely change my thinking about my daily life so that I can keep the weight off. And just, going to a party and thinking ahead of time what I'm going to eat and what I'm not going to eat. And, maybe eating ahead of time something healthy if there's going to be a lot of junk food or whatever at the party, just for a strategy, developing different strategies. And I think it's fascinating. And, it's really, it works. It works when there's nothing else that works. At least it did work for me. So what does it mean to you to support brain health? I know that you're interested in helping people change their thoughts so they can lead happier, healthier lives. And you do things like, volunteer for How Foundation, and, which we really appreciate. And you do other good things in the community. So what does it mean to you to support brain health?
I talked earlier about how being mentally tough means being accountable for your actions. But Hillary, you see it every day here. There are people that have been accountable for their actions, but life happens to them.
Right.
And they cannot control it.
Yeah.
And you have these people, these veterans coming in who are struggling with PTSD. I cannot imagine what they've been through.
Yeah.
And it's not a product of anything they've done, except that they enlisted to serve the country so that you and I can sleep at night.
Right.
And they come home fried.
Yeah.
And here you are with the oxygen therapy, giving them their life back. So what does it mean to me? I'm so grateful for what they have done. And they are experiencing circumstances beyond their control. Domestic abuse is another example of women who struggle with PTSD from that scary situation through really no fault of their own. It's an external circumstance that they have gotten themselves into. So to support what you do, and the brain health really means stepping up to the plate and getting the help they need through oxygen therapy, so that they can reclaim their life. And then I'm happy to step in and serve anybody in need who's coming out of those chambers saying, let's now start talking about living with intention, not living just reacting to our day-to-day environment.
So do you work mostly with adults or young people? Do you work in the school systems at all? Do you work with college students that maybe gain the freshman 15 or whatever, and they're kind of spiraling and they want to take control and live a healthier lifestyle? Who do you like to work with? Do you have any favorite clients to work with?
Well, the one-on-one coaching I work with adults who are 25 years and older. They're really now at that point where they are 100% in charge of their lives. And that's something that I really need to have happen to work with them. But here in Lake Worth, Florida, I worked with a group of middle schoolers and taught them. We did a 21-day no sugar challenge. And these are students that come from very difficult, compromised family situations. There's not a lot of money, and so they're eating a lot of junk food. And they did not understand the concept of no sugar because their families are living on sugar and processed foods. And so I taught them to read food labels and to learn the idea of going without sugar for 21 days and how it really increases their focus on their schoolwork. They're calmer, they're nicer people because they're not jacked up on Coca-Cola all day long and candy bars.
They can probably learn more in school.
And talk about brain health. They're more settled. They're calmer. It was very difficult for a lot of them because they were so addicted to the sugar and they didn't even know it. They'd go off it for 2 or 3 days and then they'd get back on it. And I'd say, don't blame yourself. Don't kick yourself for that. This is all an experiment in getting to know your body, your brain, and your eating habits. One girl said, gee, is there sugar in chicken? She didn't even know. And I said, great question. Why don't we look it up? Let's read the label. The label said chicken, so there's no sugar in it.
Oh,
But most of the foods that we eat, spaghetti sauce, salad dressings, bread, even bread has sugar in it. So I taught them to read labels, and if sugar was the 5th ingredient or less, it was legal on our challenge. And they really thrived on it. They were fascinated by it, and I felt like I planted brain health seeds in these young students to really think about what they're eating, because it really affects how they sleep at night, their concentration, their relationships.
Yeah, I mean, because of the sugar, they could even have been exhibiting symptoms of ADHD, and maybe
Totally,
it was just
Hillary.
sugar.
Yep. And they had no
read about
idea.
that.
No idea.
Did you see behavior changes in them over
The
the period of
principal
time?
did. We're doing it again. We did the No Sugar Challenge last year. She said the students are clamoring for it again. No
Great.
kidding. And the faculty want to do it this time.
Excellent.
So we're
The
starting
faculty,
it
too.
again at this same school in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so exciting.
21 days.
Congratulations. That is great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. And because I'm imagining that these kids, these young people will take it home to their families. And just like, back when everybody was smoking and nobody knew that it was so bad for you, then the kids learned and they'd help their parents stop smoking. The kids will help their families get healthier. And then when they go on to have kids in the future, they'll be better parents. And, that's what they're doing. And yeah.
Sugar is highly,
exciting.
highly addictive. It is not easy for these kids, but I have planted seeds, and that's my intention.
That sounds
It's
like
planting seeds. I said there's
wonderful.
no failing here because every one of them failed. Not one student was able to go 21 days without sugar. And I expected that because first of all, they're not in control of what they eat. They're going home to families where grandmother who lives with them has just brought home 7 liters of soda for them to drink. They're dealing with formidable odds. But we're planting seeds and educating them, and you bet they got some of their parents involved. Some were
That's so
supportive, and
exciting.
some were a little bit bewildered and didn't know what to do.
That is so exciting, really.
Thank you.
Creating positive change. And I know, too, with the coaching that I did with you, I was a little worried that I might not be able to stick to all the rules and all of that. But I found there was a lot of flexibility, and, I never felt bad about, when I didn't eat what I thought I was going to eat or something like that. And so it's really a process, isn't it?
Yes.
Of changing your way of thinking and educating yourself. And yeah, it's really.
And it all depends on what you want. You wanted to lose 13 pounds as opposed to losing 80 pounds. So the protocols that I'm going to work with you on are going to be very different than somebody who is dealing with literally on the edge of having a heart attack and dying.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if I had those problems, I would be so much stricter with myself.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't want you to waste your money coaching with me. You know.
Exactly.
But for you, it all begins with what do you want out of the coaching? What do you want from your life?
Right.
And for you, we didn't have to be as strict.
Yeah.
And for you, it was really just tweaking a couple of changes in how you think so that you could take that with you for the next 35 years.
Right. It's so exciting. And it's so exciting that the same principles apply to everybody in all cases, no matter, why you want to lose the weight or how much you have to lose or, whatever your relationship with sugar is, or not, or carbs or. It's very interesting process.
And I want to point out for people watching this video that when you're talking about your achievements, losing this weight, you just started to glow. You're glowing anyway.
Oh,
You're beautiful,
I'm so proud
but
of myself.
Right.
It's so
And
exciting. It's such an accomplishment.
Is that fabulous brain health?
Yeah, what you say you're going to do, and be healthier and look better, and yeah, it's very exciting. So, do you tell people about diet and exercise? Can you speak about that a little bit? I know you're very focused on having people take accountability for what they like to eat.
Right.
So can you speak about that a little bit and what they like to do for exercise and
Right.
guiding them in a certain way?
I never tell anybody what diet they should be on, and I never tell them what exercise program they should be on. Because it is a program of accountability, I want them to come to me with suggestions for what food plan and what exercise plan they'd like to do.
That's so brilliant. What if they don't know anything about exercise? Say there's someone that doesn't like to exercise or has never exercised before. What do you do with them then?
Well, I guide them. And if they really are coming up blank, I will ask them some very important questions about what do you like to do? What do you not like to do? Of course, what are your goals? That's huge. And for some, exercise is getting up off the sofa and walking around the block 3 times. For some, exercise is running a marathon. So it's always tailored to the individual. But for example, with a diet plan, people, food is fascinating, and what we eat has to do with so many factors in our life. It's our religion can come into play, where we grew up. Did we grow up in Cuba or Alaska? The cultures in our family. Did we have an Italian grandmother who was feeding us baked ziti every night for dinner? What kind of family traditions? What do we like and not like? What do we have health issues? How active or inactive are we? Do we have a digestive system that doesn't like certain foods? So
how much beer or wine or
yeah, I just
cocktails
listed 8 factors that can shape what we eat. So I don't want to say you should be on a paleo diet or you should be on a Mediterranean diet. I give suggestions if they're really flummoxed, but in general, I tease it out of them. What do you like to eat? How much weight do you want to lose? How sedentary? I mean, are you a marathon runner or are you a couch potato smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day? So we work on it together, but basically it eventually becomes their idea, and then I guide them on it. And if it's something that is not working after a month or so, we'll tweak it and we'll change the diet. We're always trimming our sails in this process.
Great. Now, if someone is interested in learning more about what you do or reaching out to you to learn about the mental, becoming mentally tough, for losing weight, how can they get a hold of you? What's the best way for them to reach you?
I have a website, so if they want to just Google me, it's Laura Eiman, LauraEiman.com. Or they could certainly contact you at the Howe Foundation if that's not an inconvenience for you.
I could
and
give them
you
your
can give
email.
them my email, but Laura Eiman, Eiman is my spelling of my last name.
And would you like to say your email to? Do you have an email that you use, or is it on the website?
It's on the website. It's info at lauraeiman.com.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yes, you're welcome.
I'm always willing to help anybody in need who really wants to make the change. It's just, it's just so sad and tragic to me that 70% of us are overweight or obese, and 1 in 3 is dying of cardiovascular disease. I love my country. I love my fellow Americans. I really believe we can do a whole lot better than this. Yeah. And I was there. I was a big hot mess.
Right, you're a great role model for that. So, you're just a great example of how you can lose the weight and keep it off.
Anybody can.
For a long time, for a long time through changing your thinking and learning.
And I eat a lot of food. I exercise a lot, but I eat a lot of food. You don't have to be in a food straitjacket.
You don't have to go around feeling hungry all the time. So
that's the worst.
Hungry.
That's the worst. Then you gain it all back.
Yeah. So just eating the right foods.
But it starts with mentally getting yourself, setting the intention.
Excellent.
How badly do you really want this is what I always ask them at first. How badly do you want it?
Interesting. And you make them write down their reasons for
your why is a very important part of starting the program.
Right.
Why do you want this? Well, I'd really like to be alive to see my grandchildren walk down the aisle at their wedding. Okay, well, let's get started. That's a great why.
Right.
If you don't have a great why, you're not going to stick with it.
Not going to be motivated.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We all need our very emotional, juicy reasons why. I have many of them. I have many. Some are personal, some are not, but we should really have, and they're always changing. You're always developing new reasons for why you want to achieve something.
Yeah. So interesting.
I mean,
And
when you think of it, every Navy SEAL, every Marine has a very, very intense why for what they're doing.
right.
You know?
Hmm.
Why shouldn't the
Yes.
rest of us?
Right, exactly. That's a really good
Yeah.
point. And what a great, training and group of people to follow too, to honor
And
in
I'd
that
like to
way.
share with you, because I appreciate so much what you're doing at the Howe Foundation. If anybody wants, once
Thank
they've
you.
come out of the oxygen therapy, if they want to have some mental toughness training, I'd be happy to work with them at a reduced rate, because I really
Thank
want
you.
to help them get a leg up after they have, dealt with such difficult trauma in their life.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, thank you. Well, we so appreciate your being here today and sharing your time and your knowledge and expertise with us, and in honor of Brain Health Week.
Thank you.